Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Blaze casting presentation bringing you guys a game between Genesis and Veni, Vidi, Vici Tribute, part of the SECS tournament here. It's 18.3 I believe, so we're going back on into the point stages and going back to the way it used to be as far as the general layout, and from there we'll see who's going to be the top dog, who's going to be taking home those points, and later on who's going to be, throughout the weeks to the playoffs, who's going to be taking home the prize there. So I guess you could call this a group stage of sorts, but it's still going to be very interesting games here. I have not casted either of these teams here, Genesis or Veni, Vidi, Vici Tribute, also known as Akiri for their in name of their captain. But starting off, just going on into it, we do have Undying banned out as well as Magnetar. I'm going to make sure that I can move the camera a little bit, but other than that, everything looks pretty good. So there's that. And along those lines, we are going to be getting on into the draft in just a moment's time, but we'll just start things off. If you guys don't know me at all, I am Blaze Casting, an up-and-coming Dota 2 caster covering in-houses and tournaments for amateur groups and such. So thank you for tuning in, and if you're tuning in from the VODs, you can check out my live stream at twitch.tv/blazecasting. But we'll go on into it and see what these guys have to offer as soon as they kind of get on through with the banning and picking. They're going to be jumping into reserve time in just a moment. I guess they just want to be rather decisive about what they want to take off the board. There's quite a few options still on the pool now that Darkseer has been banned out. There's still Bounty Hunter and Bat Rider that are generally considered the very top tier, but I've seen Invoker first picks surprisingly as well, so they can add a lot. And TA, Templar Assassin, cannot be caught out of the question as well. She's got a really powerful kit for controlling the middle lane, so we'll see how that works out. But Bounty Hunter is going to be the first pick for Genesis. That's going to really set the pace for their team in general. Getting that track up to, him up to level 6 to get that track, and moving around the battlefield trying to get as many kills. Pretty much what it means for Genesis is that even in 1-for-1 exchanges, as long as there are a couple of tracks up in the air, you're going to have an advantage there. You're going to get more gold than the opposition. You're going to get an item advantage out of it. So definitely going to check that out, gold graph and such. But right now, Veni, Vidi, Vici picking up their carry to start things off. Sven also looking maybe at like a Rubik as well to go alongside him as the Bounty Hunter. You can steal his track or his Janata. Wow, Janata fail. His Shuriken or his track, and both of those are rather effective. Shadow Walk, not the best thing in the world. I guess good for warding, but they're going to go with solidifying their lanes, presumably top lane, but they could go for an aggressive trial lane with this set composition as well. So they have the Sven and the Jakiro, and both of those obviously have a stun built into their characters. So the Ice Path, the Stormbolt, it's going to deliver a lot of hurt, and I'm curious to see what they want to round out their trial lane with. Like I said, Rubik, rather potent, but I'm not sure if that's going to be their third pick or what. They probably didn't presume that Genesis was going to go with the Rubik, so maybe they're just saving that for that position there, or they want to build up the rest of their lanes and pick up a good off-laner or something along those lines. We will have to see. Alrighty then, so going on through, we do have a couple cool pickups, the Queen of Pain and the Shadow Demon. That'll be a very dynamic lineup there. The Shadow Demon has a really good long-range initiation from the Disruption, especially when he picks up like a 4-staff or something, but most likely, obviously, he's going to be played as a support here, so he's not going to be able to pick that up that soon, but just the long-range Demonic Purge into Disruption can really set up some big kills, catching people out of position, getting some illusions for some extra damage, and that amplification from the Soul Catcher, going up to 50% increased damage received, will just be rather substantial for making sure that Queen of Pain and Bounty Hunter can do all the bursts they want. So you have the Sonic Wave as well as the Scream of Pain coming out of Quap, who will definitely be controlling the solo mid lane. And with that, there's going to be a lot of damage coming out of Genesis. Bounty Hunter obviously has a lot of front-loaded damage himself with the Janata and the Shuriken. Just a quick burst of agony there. So accompanying those three together, I can imagine that one person, no matter how durable they are, can get picked off really quickly, really easily, and get some real nice gold on the board for Genesis. But in answer to that, the Tidehunter, Veni, Vidi, Vici, picks up a really good defensive support. Pretty much, if the team fight's not going in their favor, even if one person gets picked off right off the bat, you pop a good Ravage, you get Sven to pretty much insta-give somebody during that Ravage, and then the team fight, the rest of it just goes completely in your favor. It's a really good turnaround ultimate if you can get it off in the right position. But I'm expecting, maybe based on that pickup, that they're going to be banning out the Rubik in the near future, but right now they're just taking off the board the Chaos Knight. Not really wanting to have to worry about that carry specifically. As we're talking about burst damage, that Reality Rift pulls in all the illusions of the Chaos Knight. So if he has, let's say, a Mantis down, a Phantasm later, just pretty much one-shot somebody all clustered into that little army of darkness. at Circle of Pain too. So they're taking off the Chaos Knight. Another thing that I will mention that Genesis really is lacking in their lineup right now is disables. They don't really have any kind of long duration disables, and the Chaos Knight with that potential to 4-second stun with the Chaos Bolt is more than likely what they were a little bit afraid of. So Veni, Vidi, Vici taking that out, and now contemplating a little bit more carefully their next couple of bans. But the Ezalor, the Keeper of the Light, and the Templar Assassin have both been banned out for Genesis. Templar Assassin's pretty awesome at laning 1v1 up against the Queen of Pain, and since they don't have a solo mid picked up yet, Veni, Vidi, Vici wanted to take that off the board. Shadow Strike does reduce the charges of refraction gradually, but it's not the easiest lane for her at all, as TA can get a lot of early last hits with the bonus damage at the very least. But Brewmaster going to be the ban out. I'm kind of surprised at that. I didn't really see Brewmaster working perfectly with their lineup, but you know, I mean, he's still a very, very good hero all around, with the Thunderclap doing so much slow for I think a full 4 seconds. And then along with that, the Primal Split, just adding a lot of damage and disable. And that's kind of what I was talking about before. They don't have disable, so banning out heroes with big stuns, big tornadoes. Good call on them. Alrighty then. So, really, like I said, Rubik is still currently on the field, and either one of them could benefit from it a lot, but stealing the track, stealing the Ravage. I'm not sure if either one of them have a really good Rubik player, but with the Tidehunter picked up, unless he goes for the offlane, he's most likely going to be laning in a tri-lane with Jakiro and Sven, and if that is the case, then they are going to be lacking. They're not going to be playing a Rubik as a support. They're looking for a solo mid, and pretty much along those lines, I'm not sure if that's going to be their best option versus the Quap, but it definitely will be competent enough to handle the CS at the very least with that Fade Bolt. The big issue there is the rune control. Quap just so mobile with that rank 1 blink will be able to cover up any of the runes unless the supports are doing that exact thing for their own solo mid, supporting him in that regard and making sure that the runes are covered up so that he can always just go 50-50 and they will cover up the other one. But that requires a lot of coordination. We'll have to see if they're up to the task there. By the way, guys, if there's any issues with audio or anything, just let me know in chat. It's a 2-minute delay, so but hopefully it should be perfectly fine. I've been using these settings for a while and they haven't served me wrong just yet, as far as I know anyways. Just nobody's told me. Anywho, Shadow Fiend, if I can stop playing around with my mic. Shadow Fiend is the last ban coming out. Pretty solid mid to an extent. I don't know if it would have been really what Veni, Vidi, Vici was looking for, as he's very, very squishy. He dies rather very quickly. He has not the highest base armor and definitely doesn't have that great of a strength base or gain. But all the same, they didn't want to have to deal with that Requiem, even if it's just a half Requiem from the passive. Still a good amount of AoE damage that they didn't really have the lineup to lock down just yet. So they don't really have a mechanism or a pipe coming with the current heroes. Shadow Demon can pick up that mech, but it is a bit delayed, as he's generally played as a number 5. But other than that, I don't really see the Shadow Fiend being an issue. I mean, Tidehunter Ravage helps him out a little bit, setting up raises and Requiems, but in general, not going to be the biggest deal in the world. I much prefer that Lifestealer ban, which will make sure that that is not a carry option for Genesis, as it brings him immune to pretty much everything that Veni, Vidi, Vici does right now. Anchor Smash will still pierce through, as well as Sven's massive auto attack damage, but other than that, the stun from Jakiro, from Sven, and the Ravage from Tidehunter, all of those can be immune by Rage, as well as filling the hard carry role that they are looking for to be supported by Shadow Demon and an unmentioned other. Yep, and today I am not actually being co-casted with, obviously. I generally do have a caster with me, but he seems to have gone missing. So if he contacts me by the time the next game starts up, we'll have him co-casting for the remainder of the tournament today. But obviously I don't really know what's going on there, so maybe get Dr. Zealot in here if he's finished up with Dota Noobs anytime soon and feels he's up for a little bit of extra casting there. But we'll see. In the meantime, just going to be going solo casting. Very comfortable with that. I can handle the action as well as the analysis pretty effectively myself, so not a big deal. Check a couple things. Alrighty, but interesting pickup to start things off for Genesis there. They did get the first pick of the Lina, and they're going to actually do a really solid lane with that. Whatever carry they want to go with, I actually don't even need a one with disables anymore. I mean, they could just go for like a Faceless Void and that'll work out perfectly fine, because what they have is a pretty solid combination. They could have picked up the Leshrac or the Lina for this, but what they're doing here is they're using the Shadow Demon Disruption to set up the Light Strike array. Going in and just banishing him out into the ground for 2.5 seconds allows Lina to calculate her cast time delay, pop that stun off right after the fact, and deliver a world of hurt to him, especially if Soul Catcher is there. Yeah, kind of have to catch him out away from creeps in order to make sure that Soul Catcher will land, but otherwise, yeah, it's looking pretty awesome. But Windrunner is going to be the answer back for Veni, Vidi, Vici. Really, really powerful offlaner, and I definitely agree with that pickup. I think it makes their lineup just that much more flexible and that much more dynamic. The fact of the matter is Windrunner can survive just about anything on the offlane there. If it is going to be a defensive tri-lane on both counts, then Windrunner is going to have a little bit more of her work cut out for her, because when she pops the Windrun, it's a baseline like 2.75 seconds. And of course, like I said, the Shadow Demon Disruption is 2.5. So if they force out the disruption without, or sorry, the Wind Run without the disruption being on cooldown, they can catch her off and bring her down with relative ease. So that's something that she's definitely going to have to watch out for. Keep that cooldown until she absolutely needs it. But that's assuming a 1 versus 3 scenario, but more often in this metagame we've been seeing 3v3 all over the place, and that'll be a lot more fun, trying to see a Juggernaut, Lina, and Shadow Demon going up against a Sven, Jakiro, and Tidehunter. But I definitely agree with the Juggernaut pickup. I already talked about the strength of magic immunity when I was talking about the Lifestealer ban, but Blade Fury gives Juggernaut a similar benefit, so he's going to be able to do a lot of AoE damage as well as avoid all those major stuns. He sees this Stormbolt coming, they cannot chain up on him, so they're going to actually be forced to go on a support. But the big deal there is Shadow Demon actually can disrupt Lina if they go on her, so pretty much the only target they can really realistically go for if they're going 3v3, Sven, Jakiro, and Tidehunter can go for the Shadow Demon and try to chain stun him up, but if he can disrupt the Stormbolt, then it screws everything up there. Everything's predictable, and that might be a little bit of a wrench in the works for Veni, Vidi, Vici's lineup. But the Night Stalker, beautiful solo mid pickup. I love going Night Stalker versus Queen of Pain. If you can get that level 3, level 5 Void, you can harass her quite a bit. You can't control the runes during the daytime, at least not without a lot of assistance from your allies, but once it hits nighttime, you just become a ganking machine. Along with that, they do have an Invis here, Bounty Hunter, so if he picks up like an Agnum Scepter and a Gem of True Sight, he will have no problem at all locking down his Bounty Hunter foe there and just out-ganking the ganker. That's really what you gotta do. But Akiri gonna pick up that Night Stalker, so looking forward to what he can do with that hero specifically. But Acquiesce is going to be going on the Windrunner, Isfaz on the Jakiro, starting off with that donkey there. PhD, or shall I call him Doctorate, is going to be picking up the Tidehunter. Then we have Nonsense on the Sven. Going up to top lane right off the bat, we do have a Medic going on the Shadow Demon. We have the Capitalist, who is a stand-in for their team, going on the Lina. With some sentries and smoke early on. Queen of Pain has been picked up by Chingu, I guess, yeah. And then Jing is going to pick up the Bounty Hunter. He's actually a rather well-known player, so if you guys, shout out to any Jing fans there. But one way or another, he's going to be going on the Bounty Hunter, and it looks like he is going to go for a standard suicide lane. So 3-1-1 with the Bounty Hunter on top and the tri-lane on bottom with Zhao Yun on the bottom here. So with the fact that Nonsense is actually going to be going for a defensive tri-lane, presumably, unless, whoa, Tidehunter going solo. Didn't expect that, actually. Windrunner is not going to be going offlane. She has picked up Power Shot. She's going for a supportive role. And pretty much Tidehunter is going to try to survive as best he can up against the Lina, Shadow Demon, and Juggernaut lane there. But although he is very durable, he doesn't have any escape mechanisms and really has to watch himself here. I don't think that V3, actually I don't think Genesis wanted to go for the 1 versus 3, or 3 versus 1. They wanted to go for 3v3 because with that disruption and with that Blade Fury, they have so much more potency in those quick little skirmishes due to the magic immunity and the potential to banish one person out, so they cannot be the focus. Just kind of, well, now Acquiesce is transitioning bottom. Are they doing a 2-1-2? Because that is, okay, no, they're just doing a full transition. They're bringing Jakiro, Windrunner, and Tidehunter down to bottom lane. They're having a Bounty Hunter, Sven, 1v1 up here, and that's really favorable. Jing wanted to just go 1v3. He has a Shadow Walk and is able to jump into the trees, hide, and get some experience gain long distance. But now that he's in a 1v1 situation, he's not just going to be able to play little cat and mouse games. He's actually going to have to fight out the lane, because otherwise he's going to not taking advantage of the fact that it's 1v1. So I think this works out nicely for V3. The fact of the matter, though, is the Sven is going to still get his farm. I didn't like the aspect of a 3v3 where Sven was accompanying this tri-lane down here, but this is something I didn't expect whatsoever, but it's going to help them out in the long run. So interesting, there was ward placement by the Dire here, and that was rather effective to get control over that area, but immediately centered out. And now, the Shadow Demon completely blocked in. He does get some illusions for himself, but Acquiesce on the eastern end. Oh no, he eats the tree to the south and won't have any issue at all. Now Blade Fury coming on out. Nice damage coming out of Juggernaut. I think he actually got a first hit crit coming out of Zhao Yun there, but one way or another, he gets the first blood. Finding the Windrunner before she has that power. Windrun, unfortunately, going for the power shot, she kind of showed her hand that she didn't have any defensive abilities available, and she was picked off there. So yeah, that is rather unfortunate for them. And now, because they don't have control over this ward spot here, Lena's able to dance in and out and get some aggression coming out. Now with the destruction into the Light Strike Array, the Light Strike Array a little bit too early, so they're not going to be able to bring down Isfos here, but they will do a lot of damage just from auto attacks alone. Man, if that Light Strike Array had landed, then that would have been a sure kill, but just a little bit too early from the Capitalist. Interesting attempt to pull, but unfortunately they modified the pull in the most recent patch. It was apparently a bug that they traveled so far and had a low leash time, so you actually have to break down a couple of trees in order to pull the top Dire camps here, so that's something to keep in mind as you're trying to control the lane. You actually have to pull. You can still pull at the 21-second mark as well as the 51-second mark, but you need to knock down a couple trees in the process, and that's not something he has the items to commit to at this time. He has 6 Tango, so I guess if he regens it up a little bit, he can manage it, but not a big deal for the time being. As far as middle lane goes, Queen of Pain picking up the first rune of the day. I mean, first rune was actually a haste rune by Tidehunter, but right now the invisibility is going to give Queen of Pain an opportunity to, nope, just kind of pick that up, fill up her bottle, and auto-tackle out a little bit, no big deal. But in the meantime, Night Stalker not doing too bad at all. He is 7-2, which is not the best, but he's up against a ranged hero, and it's during the daytime. But if you look at experience gains, he's right on par with her. She's barely out-denied him, and he's going to be able to get plenty of experience to transition towards a very aggressive nighttime. Alright, so as far as the last hits go, going back to that a little bit, Radiant seems to be on the ball right here. Actually going to stop that. There's going to be a disruption coming out onto the Tidehunter. Ice Path has already been blown. Light Strike Array will land this time around. Juggernaut looking for that spin, will hit it up, and with that, Soul Catcher will bring him down with relative ease. No, he's fast enough. He has Boots of Speed. Rare to see Boots this early picked up, but it was a very effective pickup and really a good way to escape that Juggernaut. There's really no other way about it. They don't have any abilities that will pierce through that magic immunity, like a Boar Slow or something like that, and so that Juggernaut can keep pace with them, but 305 movement speed versus a 360, they weren't able to slow him down, and he was actually able to survive. Now he does have to make the long walk of shame back to base, but it's a lot better to manage that rather than feeding Juggernaut yet another kill. So, very impressed by that early Boots pickup. Did not expect it, but it 100% saved his life right there. Kiri looking at bottom rune. He does look out. It does spawn on the bottom, and so he will cover up that haste, fill up his bottle full, and Chingu, unfortunately, just doesn't have that option. In the meantime, up on top lane, just kind of a do-si-do a little bit with these two melee heroes. They can't do too much, but it looks like it's been generally favorable for Jingu on the Bounty Hunter. He gets that catapult kill, which is really solid, with the Janata doing a quick burst of damage, which is multiplied a little bit over 175%. Is allows you pretty much 2 auto attacks. He had a little bit of aggression come out of nonsense. That is his last bit of mana, but with that stun, will deal a couple good hits and get a couple good swings in there. So Bounty Hunter is out of regeneration at this point in time, but he is up by a couple last hits on 4 denies, so winning the lane by a little bit, but he has to watch himself now that he is out of regen, whereas Sven has plenty up his sleeve, actually a full 2 sets of it, so we'll see. But the big deal here, I think, is when nighttime hits, as well as when Tidehunter is going to be looking at that Ravage. When level 6 Tidehunter comes out to play, it just changes the pace of the game so drastically, and they're going to have to watch out for it. I mean, Juggernaut's not going to have too big a deal, because he's either going to be in Blade Fury or Omni Slash throughout the team fight, but everybody else is going to have to watch themselves if they're going to be able to avoid that menace of the Tentacle Ultimate. However, Kiri farming very effectively, has that haste rune, hitting level 6 now. Is he going to go for the Hunter in the Night build? I presume he will, as that's pretty much considered. Nope, he actually goes for the Darkness, so as soon as nighttime hits, he will increase the duration of the night. It won't be as potent. Oh, actually a couple of DCs coming out, we're going to get a pause, so that'll give me a second to talk about Night Stalker mechanics a little bit, as we don't actually see him as often as we used to. Pretty much Night Stalker has a couple options at level 6. He can either forego his ultimate and pick up a second point in Hunter of the Night, and then max his Void and continue with the Hunter of the Night, and only pick up Darkness once it hits daytime, or he can make the night longer. With this Darkness at nighttime, he activates it, it extends the duration of the night. Right now, 25 seconds on a 180 cooldown. He can use that twice throughout the full night. So as soon as nighttime hits, he'll activate that, add 25 seconds to it, and then as soon as it comes off cooldown again, he'll do it again. So that's 50 extra seconds of nighttime, but like I said, it will not lack potency, but it will have a bit of a degree less of potency. The Hunter of the Night gives him increased movement speed and attack speed, and although 1 point is considerable by itself, if you increase it to 25-30% of movement speed at the very least, that rank adds a little bit more potential to gank, a little bit more aggression underneath towers. You're a little bit more fearless about being in that position because you can get in and out rapidly during the nighttime. But right now he thinks that going for the longer duration night is going to be the key to making sure that they control the mid game, so that's going to be what they're looking for, and hopefully it'll work out for them. In the meantime, though, haste has been popped up by Night Stalker. He's going to be looking to gank up on this bounty hunter. He has a 2-second silence, 3-second silence coming out to silence of this bounty hunter. Tried to delay the shadow walk, and now nighttime is popped. Darkness will be popped in a moment's time if he's paying attention to it, but right now probably focused on trying to bring down Jing. Has the flank, has the starting off with the crippling fear, going with the void, Stormbolt to finish the job, and that's a nice quick kill onto the bounty hunter. He is level 6, so he got what he needed out of it, but at the very least they got a nice kill for Sven. Now the disruption Windrun comes after the disruption, so she will be fine. That's just good timing of it. Pretty much, like I said, if you force the Windrun before the disruption, you can easily bring her down, but otherwise it's very, very difficult to do so. So that costs quite a bit of mana. Shadow Demon down to maybe 2/3, and same with Juggernaut, so that they don't really have all their options at their disposal. And now, like I said, as Night Stalkers, time to shine, or I guess what is the opposite of shine, but whatever. It's nighttime, and he's rocking and rolling, trying to get some kills. Now, they don't actually have any wards up. This is a big deal. The Radiant have no wards. Lena can get completely caught out all by herself if he flanks in the right direction and bring her down with relatively ease. But she does, right at the right time, walk back to the lane. I think they saw him. Yeah, there are some pings going out. Shadow Demon knows what's going on there. So, yeah, he actually has been found out. One thing that's really important is for Radiant to ward up against this Night Stalker. They have 1600 vision at both day and night, and so that's going to give you the opportunity to actually see him coming. However, while I was focusing on the Night Stalker, who I assumed would be providing us some awesome kills to watch, instead it was Queen of Pain that was transitioning up towards top, popping her Sonic Wave to bring down the Sven in conjunction with Bounty Hunter, using that track, using that Janata and Shuriken to burn him down really quickly as well. So good action there, and I presume that's a track kill, which will put Bounty Hunter on top for the lane right now. You have 361 GPM right now, and he wants to stay that way. So he wants to stay on top, get as many track kills as possible. So, more energy. I'm going. I have plenty of energy. I love Night Stalker, and this game is going to be a really, really fun pace as we move forward, but I'm surprised he's not popping Darkness. That's kind of a huge waste. I don't know, honestly, I've seen a couple pros do this, and I've looked into it. There's no way it can be anything but a mistake. Pop Darkness as soon as nighttime hits. There's no disadvantage to it. It's straight up, when it hits nighttime, you want to have that on cooldown, because it'll increase it. The only thing is it'll make the second day, it'll take longer to get to the second day, and therefore the second night, but the first night and the second night and all that is longer. So there's really, it doesn't matter. I think that there's no real disadvantage to not using Darkness right now. But whatever, he pops off into yet another haste rune, getting lucky on the runes, but unfortunately there's nobody to gank up. They're kind of thinking Bounty Hunter is just hiding around underneath the tower nearby, and maybe we'll push up in the near future, but no such luck. Bounty Hunter has transitioned down towards the bottom lane, wants to get some ganks 4v3, and that's what they're going to be looking for here. Alright, so Juggernaut looks like he might be going for a possible Battle Fury. He has a phase boost already in the Ring of Health in tow, so he will be looking for some kind of item that will obviously benefit that. Totally going to be a Refresher Orb. Just kidding. Obviously it has to be a Vanguard or a Battle Fury, and with that I would say Battle Fury would be most promising, as he's got an alright amount of farm, but here comes the Bounty Hunter putting out some aggression, and now that the Windrun is popped and the Disruption is down, they should be able to bring her down with the Light Strike Ray. Beautiful usage of their spells in the right timing and the right rotation, and we're able to get a nice track kill to burn down the Windrunner, who is only sitting at level 3, so she's going to have a hard time with things, but at least went the 1-1-1 build, which I think would be most effective for this drastic reduction of experience. She usually goes on the solo lane, so we see a lot more often an over-leveled Windrunner, but unfortunately right now she is sitting at level 3 and not too happy about it. But here comes a Crippling Fear into a Void to slow down the Juggernaut. Nice Ice Path, but he does get disrupted up to keep him alive for the time being, and now the Blade Fury is available now that the Silence has expired. Looking to put some counter-aggression out, but they are underneath the tower. Kind of a waste of time, but the track is up. They at least have a knowledge of what the Night Stalker is going to be doing for about 15 more seconds. In the meantime, Queen of Pain has been pushing out the middle lane rather effectively. Looking at this tower, it's down to 200 HP, and that's going to be really nice if they can bring down that kill anytime soon. Looking back at last hits, it's going to be Queen of Pain topping out at 55, 56. Now looking at Sven, he has 51 as well. So although Bounty Hunter is top of the GPM just because of the track kills, 2 of them on the board now, he, at the very least, hasn't been CSing as much. He's mostly focusing on ganking now, which is exactly what he does. But the 10-minute rune spawns. Queen of Pain takes that under her wing. Yeah, she does have wings as well as the Night Stalker, so I don't know. Neither one of them use it, so it's just for decoration for the most part. But anyways, she does have that regeneration rune available, and that's going to be awesome for her. But oddly, Jakiro dying under tower. The fact of the matter is the Dire... Wow, I got to get on ball. Sorry, guys. First cast of the day usually is a little bit slow paced, but yeah, I didn't realize that they were actually going for a full man dive on the bottom lane here. They were pretty much realized that none of the Dire heroes were able to support the Jakiro down the bottom lane. They found their opening and they were able to bring him down, even as far as underneath the tower, popping the Blade Fury to do it, but they were able to knock her out, so that's awesome. TP coming in a mid lane. That is going to be a Bounty Hunter looking to get one track out. Doesn't have the mana for it though, unfortunately. He needs to see one spell cast, that's it. And the Magic Stick will give him enough for the track, but he doesn't get it off in time because, you know, Queen of Pain just so ready to burn him down as fast as possible. So she gets the quick, easy pick off, but unfortunately it was not a track kill. He was like 15 mana short. He got a point in Magic Stick to actually get that potential, but unfortunately he didn't use it in time because, yeah, like I said, overzealous Queen of Pain really wants to drop him down really quickly. And Night Stalker looking to try to get a couple kills here, but you actually can really see the difference about the fact that he doesn't have a single point, just has 1 point in Hunter of the Night and doesn't have the second one. He really could have brought Lina down right there, getting in range for the Void that much more swiftly, but he really needs either the second and more Hunter of the Night or the Phase Boots to really make something happen here. But the tower has fallen in mid lane. Queen of Pain will blink on away, and yeah, fearlessly taking a tier 1 tower. That's really favorable for them. And forcing Windrunner off is what allowed them to do that. So they did a little bit of harassment long range, get a scream maybe in to try to bring her down. She did escape, but the tower was subject to destruction, and with that they will have a lot more presence into the middle areas of the map. Obviously they have a Radiant Ward right here, as well as the tier 1 that has just recently fallen. Gives a lot less vision about what's going on when somebody tries to like transition up into this area here. So that's going to be a really big deal. Along with that, now they're doing a little bit of creep skipping action with Queen of Pain. Really ballsy, since she doesn't have a regeneration room, but she's going to TP out, blink into the trees and TP on out. So now it's going to be these three that have to, or two that have to watch themselves. Juggernaut and Lina doing a good amount of damage to the tower, but now they are both going to fall back. However, this Battle Fury timing couldn't be, I was going to say couldn't be better. It obviously could be better, but it is very effective in of itself. Fact of the matter is, he is going to get some nice damage coming out from this early Battle Fury, as well as allowing him to increase his rate of farm exponentially. He's going to be able to flash farm creep waves really quickly with that cleave, as well as stack up a bunch of neutrals, and like he is doing right here, and be able to farm up neutrals very rapidly with that cleave coming on through. So he'll have that in a very short period of time. I think it's like 600 more gold, and then he will have that available, and that's going to be awesome for him. But right now, Tidehunter, level 4, TPing up to the top lane. Not sure if that's going to be his best choice, as there are 3 heroes that are pretty happy to dive him. And again, he is rather low on levels. He has a good strength gain, but if you can't actually get the levels, then you're not going to benefit from it. So they have the Observer Ward coming out. They know that he is currently alone, but they did have some pings going out knowing that Sven is nearby as well. So a quick track will force him away. I'm not sure why he TP'd up just to walk away. He knew that 2 or 3 people were there, but now he is kind of terrified and just really wants to get those levels. I think that's why he TP'd up, is just to try to be in the presence of the deaths of those creeps so that he could get some experience solo rolling, but right now not even hitting level 5. He really needs to get on the ball on that a little bit. You can see his experience per minute, 91, along with his buddy Jakiro only sitting at 84. So that's not more crazy. Dota's not crazy. You don't. It's awesome. It's professional. It's high level and high skill. It's not off the wall. Let me give you a stupid knock joke. I don't know what you mean by crazy per se, buddy, but I don't think that's in my repertoire for Dota casting at this stage. Actually, Crippling Fear going out on the Bounty Hunter. He does not have Shadow Walk enabled, so he could get picked off a little bit with the Sven jumping in, but no, he wants Lina. He gets Light Strike way up. However, the wow, Laguna Blade, he's still going to survive with just a little bit of HP, and instead Lina's going to take the fall. Now Darkness has been popped off. They're going to be looking for Juggernaut. He silences him up, which is pointless because he's out of mana, but he may not know that. Didn't click him fast enough, so Akiri instead is going to get purged out and therefore not be able to drop anybody down. He's out of mana. Pop 90 mana on that Crippling Fear, so he cannot Void earn down the Shadow Demon as he would prefer to. But yeah, no, the fact of the matter is Windrunner did get picked off. Wow, back by her tower. Presumed Bounty Hunter was on the hunt in that regard. So he's getting Midas gold, he's getting track gold, he's getting solo kills. He's sitting at a lot of experience per minute. 424, he's as much as Queen of Pain, and loving every minute of it. That's where you want to be as Bounty Hunter. 2, 1, and 3, not bad at all. And most of those have been tracked. But yeah, interestingly enough though, the Sen was still able to survive in that bottom exchange, so that's very favorable for them. He's going to have his BKB in no time at all, and that's going to be a really big deal to survive the oncoming team fights with that Lina and Queen of Pain delivering so much magic damage. However, BKB as a first item does have its drawbacks. Every time you use it, you reduce its duration, and it's going to give you less and less benefit as time goes by. So he has a decent GPM of 306. He will get that BKB relatively good timing, but he's going to need some good setup of his allies later in the game. Otherwise, he's going to get caught out when he only has 5 seconds of immunity to work with here. But he did survive, and a lot of ultimates were wasted. The Laguna Blade did not work out for him, and of course I actually forgot the name of it at the time, but it is the Omni Slash that went on cooldown as well, but that should be up in no time at all. And with the Perseverance, he's getting plenty of mana, sustainability, and here comes that Battle Fury. 16 minutes, great timing for this Juggernaut, and he's going to get a lot of farm as a result. So they need to be, what Dire needs to be doing is they need to be looking to gank pretty soon. Sorry about this timer up here, it's actually really annoying for me, but since the most recent patch, the daytime and nighttime has been bugged out. So just look at the sun, that is showing that it is daytime, but the blue and yellow won't help you at all in regards to time sequences. But Tidehunter, level 6, wants to initiate on this Lina, has the gush going on through. Now they're looking for the, Shackle Shot will stop this teleport as well as the Stormbolt, just to make sure Night Stalker picks up that kill, secures it with the Void, and now they're going to look at pushing onto the tier 1. Not really too much that Juggernaut can do. He's just going to farm up on the jungle while he can, but he knows that in a moment's time they will be, the distraction of the tower will expire, and so will his opportunity to farm in this area and with relative ease. So he's probably going to be a lot more afraid of passing this line right here into the eastern jungle now that the tier 1 is going to be have fallen. Meanwhile, up on top lane, Jing and Chingu are what they're doing is creep pulling the Dire here and doing a nice Scream of Pains to make sure they can AoE down the creeps. That allows them to push up on this tower extremely effectively, and they're actually going to bring it down pretty much identical timings. It's going to drop the tier 1 Radiant a little bit earlier than the tier 1 Dire, but pretty much simultaneous. Sven and Bounty Hunter picking up the kills, so that lane kind of neck and neck in that regard, but Bounty Hunter staying at 7,000 because of that awesome track mechanic. So going on through, it looks like he's going to be looking for a BKB, but he could also be looking for like a Heaven's Halberd later on. We'll have to see. Meantime, we're looking at smoke coming out from the Dire line up here. They're looking to initiate, and with the Warcry, they should be able to get a Stormbolt off on one of them. Will he be able to spin? He does spin in time, but it chains over to the Shadow Demon as they stacked up on top of each other. Disruption does come on out. Ravage completely wasted PhD. What the hell? But anyways, here comes a beautiful Sonic Wave coming out after that Scream, and now Bounty Hunter wants some kills, wants some tracks, wants to burn some people down. Scream and Laguna Blade popping down Sven and Jakiro, now finishing the job on the Windrunner with that Blink, that Shadow Strike, and one more auto attack will do the trick. And the back end here, Night Stalker was able to bring down the Shadow Demon, but very little recompense for the 1-for-5 trade that Genesis just got. Beautiful action coming out of that, and exactly how they wanted that fight to go. I mean, Ravage coming out of Tide. It was on literally one target who had just disrupted himself. Oh, the worst Ravages. I thought that Shiver had some bad ones, but wow, that is something. So that actually, like I said, is a big ultimate to turn around a big team fight, but if you don't hit it on anybody, then it's going to have a lot less impact. In fact, absolutely none. Actually, it might have negative impact in the fact that they will know that you don't have it available, and they will be fearless in there and ruthless in trying to bring you down. So that chase sequence came on through pretty easily. The track giving a lot of mobility throughout the fight, and Queen of Pain just dropping people down. Beautiful ultimate coming at her. So glad she was level 11 for that. Well, obviously now level 13. Bounty Hunter does get a little bit of action coming into her. Wow, I don't even know where that sentence was going. But anyways, Bounty Hunter took a little bit of damage, got ganked up a little bit, but Shadow Walk without detection, no problem at all. And looking at the Dire items, it looks like Winter is the only one with Sentry, so she's sitting here happily on middle lane just trying to farm up that mechanism, but she only has one Sentry ward and has to use that extremely carefully. In the meantime, it's actually the Radiant have this Sentry for a couple more minutes that could have scouted out this Observer ward, but now has expired of its own volition. Not going to be a big deal one way or another. In the meantime, Lina picking up a mechanism for herself. She's actually closer than the Windrunner in that regard. You never usually see that. You usually see Windrunner doing a decent amount of GPM because she can power shot lanes very effectively for a good amount of farm, but right now Lena is one level higher and actually further along towards that mech than the Windrunner herself. So that'll be very interesting. Now, some gank going on through. The Stormbolt will stun on 2, but it's too late. Tidehunter has fallen. He does get Laguna Blade down, but the Bounty Hunter will get shackled up and brought down himself. BKB popped off on Queen of Pain. Didn't even see her building that, but at least we'll get her out of dodge pretty quickly with that rank 4 blink accompanied with the BKB. No problem at all. Will not get silenced. Will not get dropped. The Sven did pop the God's Strength, but he at least got a kill out of it pretty quickly on that Bounty Hunter. So, actually, I believe the kill went to the Windrunner. Yep. Windrunner was able to pick up the Bounty Hunter there, but one way or another, at least he has finally fallen, because he was on, not a killing spree necessarily, but he was just rampaging around and being very, very aggressive and continuing that reign of destruction there. But it looks like he is going to be going for that BKB, which is going to be very promising going up against that Tidehunter, Ravage, the Stormbolt, the Ice Path, you name it. That Shackle Shot really was what gave him so much trouble in that last exchange, and that's what dropped him down with a good disable coming out of Acquiesce. But with the BKB coming forth, that's going to be a BKB on Quap, on Bounty Hunter, and now of course the Juggernaut with his Blade Fury immunity. So that is 3 heroes that are going to be immune to Ravage if they time it appropriately, and if he happens to be baited into Shadow Demon disrupting himself, then that's going to be a 4th hero that won't be affected. So that's going to be something that Tide really has to watch if PhD wants to set the fights and set the momentum in their favor. That he really needs to land some really well-timed Ravages where their BKBs aren't available or they don't react fast enough, etc. So excuse me. That exchange obviously needs to be really precise and really well-timed by that Tidehunter in order to make things happen. Alright, as far as otherwise, like looking at the goal graph in general, you can definitely see an advantage for Genesis here. They are sitting at 7 kill advantage, and I think they're up by a tower. They have 2 down, 2 down. Nope, they're pretty much even on towers, but the 7 kills with a number of tracks, at least 4 or 5, pretty much makes it so that they are going to have a goal advantage no matter what. The experience is a little bit more interesting, but still kind of tells the same story. Bounty Hunter has that Midas, which gives quite a bit of experience as well as bonus gold to any neutrals that he decides to Midas up. And with that, he's going to be able to farm up rapidly. He's no longer the top of the experience, as Queen of Pain has just been dominating the previous 2 team fights, but nevertheless, he's doing extremely well. The top 3 Radiant heroes are all at the top of the experience per minute graph, so they're all kind of core in this lineup here, and it's really good that they're getting more and more levels up. The more levels you get in track, the more gold you get for your team, the more levels you get in Sonic Wave, the more people die. So it works out pretty effectively, and the longer that Omni Slash goes, once you get that maximum amount of bounces, unless you're looking at the Aghanims, which he indeed is, right now looking at 9 jumps when he gets to level 16, but when he gets that Aghanim Scepter, 12 friggin' jumps from that Omni Slash. It's going to do so much damage and keep him immune. He doesn't have to worry about a thing during the entire time period. Interesting smoke move going in from the Dire. Night Sucker kind of trying to defend the tower and bait up so they can sweep in from behind. This could be atrocious, but Queen of Pain spots them all out, and so they're going to take the tower. Night Stalker's going to have to flee for his life now that he is tracked up, and now he does go a little bit aggressive, pops off a little bit of silence and void onto the Juggernaut, but he's going to heal that up almost instantly with the remaining duration of that healing ward. And now it looks like they're trying to pick off the Queen of Pain, but Omni Slash comes on out. BKB popped off by Sven as well as God's Strength, trying to do a lot of damage here. The Sonic Wave doesn't hit on very much. The Shackle goes on through. Mechanism to keep Lena alive for the time being, and it looks like nobody has fallen just yet. They're looking for Lena. She's pinned in. She should drop down now. Creep in the way. Laguna Blade and Scream of Pain going on through. Looking for nonsense. Brings him down. Lena's still on low life, but she does get dropped down by the Jakiro auto attack. Now Shackle goes down on Queen of Pain. It looks like Juggernaut's going to have to flee for his life, but he's too low, slowed up, and doesn't have any of his abilities, so he's going to drop down. What happened to Queen of Pain in that? She blink out? No, she is caught out still. She has a TP scroll, and she's trying to bring down the Jakiro. Now blink to the north and TP away. Beautiful action from Chingu, and doing exactly what he needed to make the best of that poor situation. But in the end, it's going to be 2-for-2 exchange. There's so much going on, I was not able to monitor track kills, but you can see in the goal graph, it was still favorable, so they had at least 1 or 2 tracks on the field. Bounty Hunter doing exactly what he needs to keep that rolling. And they didn't even pop many BKBs. Bounty Hunter still on 10 seconds. I believe the Queen of Pain did pop hers, but nevertheless, it worked out pretty favorably for them, bringing down the Sven in such short order and making the most of that situation there. So it was interesting. They got flanked up from the east. I did like the positioning, at least from the smoke, but unfortunately with the Queen of Pain in that area there, was not able to catch them off guard by surprise, and with that, the Night Stalker had to initiate in a even exchange. A couple more disconnects coming out. It looks like they are on maybe a land or something, but one way or another they'll be back in here in just a moment's time. But that was a very fun team fight. I really like that. The Ravage was rather effective, but it was more so the fact that Queen of Pain didn't get the biggest ultimate of her life that enabled the Team V3 to stay alive as long as they needed to. Now, the mechanism was available for both. I know that Alina popped hers off. I believe the winner did for hers as well, so that's why it lasted quite a bit longer. But in those sustained fights, in those longer duration fights, I would generally say that the Queen of Pain, or Genesis in general, has a lot more promise. The fact of the matter is, Omni Slash and Blade Fury last a very long time. As well, Queen of Pain, that stream is on a 7-second cooldown, so she can get a number of those off, burning down a couple heroes on the back end and burn people down. The V3 is very, very front-loaded damage, that Ravage, the Stormbolt, and God Strength auto attacks. But as soon as that BKB expires on Sven, they can cut him to no end. Light Strike Arrays, disruptions, even the track movement speed should generally allow them to stay just out of his arm's reach. I mean, Warcry is a very powerful spell, but track gives a lot of movement speed as well. So you put a single Savage Strike on him, out of the BKB is expired, and he's no longer a threat. And with that, you can just kind of just roam around and do whatever you need to in the fight, just jump in and out. So with those mechs up, both teams last longer, and it's good that both heroes pick them up, but I definitely think Genesis is going to do better in a longer exchange, as you kind of saw there. But one thing to mention is that Sven is now down to a 9-second BKB. Every time he uses that, he reduces the second duration by 1, and down to a minimum of 5 seconds. So he needs to get some big items. He needs to look for crit, he needs to look for Mask of Madness, he needs to look for something that'll change the pace of this game. But right now he is not very well farmed, and he wants to get some farm, no longer by creeps, but actually in the way of items through hero kills. He's going to get kills, he's going to get assists, he's going to get pickoffs on this Shadow Demon, but they did see them with the fact they have the Sentry Ward right here, so they know he's there, they're pinging it up, and they're running for their lives. Queen of Pain will be able to get her out with the blink. However, I believe Night Stalker, with his increased movement speed, gets fogged just barely, now getting juked a little bit. Medic hogging the trees, he's right behind, he didn't see him, holy crap! There he goes, now he's dead. Finally sees him. But now that gives enough time for the Radiant to retaliate, and now Medic, although he will definitely drop down, this ultimate, the Demonic Purge, goes down on Sven, and with that they can try to probably do a pick off. Nope, it's just going to be a 0 for 1. Genesis is going to lose that Shadow Demon. I am amazed he lasted that long. Like, he should have been dead, like, right here. But, you know, whatever. He dies, but they're going to be looking to, with that Sven TPing out, they should actually feel confident in this, but there is a Sentry Ward going on through. Queen of Pain dodges the Shackle Latch with the blink, now pops her BKB off for no reason at all. There's nothing to stop her, but now with the Dark, she's going to be looking at least for the Windrunner kill, pops off the Sonic Wave, but with Mechanism she will survive, and the fact of the matter is Queen of Pain's out of mana, cannot finish the job. The last Shadow Strike tick might do it though. Yeah, it does get the kill, but however the Ravage did go down onto the Queen of Pain. She is able to blink down into the trees and survive. Omni Slash going on through, not sure where he ended up. Not just going to farm some creeps up, but Necropire has been expired, and in the end it's just nothing really accomplished. Windrunner did drop down just barely by that Shadow Strike tick after the ultimate went on through, but the Ravage was wasted, and again, nothing really that V3 can take to the bank as a result.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Now looking to push down on the Tier 2 tower, just taking advantage of the disorganization of V3, the fact that they didn't group up yet to do anything. Generally speaking, it's impossible to push up against a tower of Night Stalkers during the nighttime until late game, but unfortunately that darkness has expired, and now they were able to put a lot of pressure out, but as you can see on the screen, Shadow Demon got picked off there, picked off by the Jujutsu into the Sven stuns, and that was enough to get a clean kill. So Shadow Demon dying twice in a row now. Now it's going to be 0, 3, and 6, and that's not really where he wants to be at, but in general his team has a huge advantage. 16 and 9 is not going to be the end of the world if the support drops down once or twice. So he picks up a few Sentry Wards, not exactly sure what that's going to benefit them other than getting rid of some Observers, doing some good counter ward action, but other than that, I don't think that there's that much to report. Queen of Pain has her level 16 now, so that's going to be a lot of damage coming out, and is only 500 away from that Scythe of Ice, so that's going to be a really big deal, as she can disable anybody that doesn't have a BKB, or just try to get it off on Sven after the fact. Like I said, a lot of the team fights it's going to be about, especially when the game goes later into the game, when Sven becomes just this huge monster truck of auto attack damage. The big thing they're going to have to do is just kite him around as best as possible. During the BKB, they can pop the Demonic Purge, and that will slow him to a substantial extent. But after that, they can pop off, let's say, a Sheep Stick. They can pop off a Shadow Strike, Light Strike Array, Disruption, anything they need to try to make sure that he is not exactly where he wants to be. Now, Demonic Purge, using his long-range initiation to bring down, in a conjunction with the Soul Catcher and the Omni Slash, going to bring down the Jakiro. However, Disruption went on through to the Shadow Demon. He's going to get picked off 1v3, and that's yet another death for Shadow Demon, not having a good time himself. Only sitting on boots and a couple of gauntlets, so really just not where he needs to be. Has a 29-minute support. Midas and Shadow Walk getting popped off, and I don't believe they have the detection. Let's check out their items right here. It looks like Sentry Wards on the Shadow Demon and Lina, but they are not close enough to pop those off. Now it looks like Winter is going to be looking for a Pipe of Insight. Not sure how I agree about if I agree with that. I definitely agree Pipe is an item that they absolutely need, going up against Lina and Queen of Pain especially. There's a lot of magic damage floating around there, but I would much rather see the Tidehunter commit some more money to that. His Ravages haven't been that amazing, so I don't think Blink's going to make that change that really. Again, they have 3 different sources of magic immunity on all their core heroes. Okay, they don't have it on each of them, but all 3 core heroes have a version of magic immunity to avoid that Ravage, so I don't think Blink will be the game changer. I think Pipe of Insight on the Tidehunter will be much more appropriate, because one big deal about putting Mechanism and Pipe on one hero, especially one such as Windrunner, is if you can pick her off, Demonic Purge, like we saw, Queen of Pain can burst her down pretty quick, that kind of thing. If she gets picked off, then you don't have either the mech or the Pipe, and your teamfight is pretty much automatically lost. All you can do is turtle on a tower. But one thing I'm surprised is that Roshan has not yet been contested. A couple auto attacks apparently been delivered to him, but other than that, nothing really happening. Both teams have good placement on their observer wards to make sure that they know if anything is going to be heading that direction. But one thing that the Team Genesis cannot predict is there is a smoke coming on through. They don't see anybody on the minimap, so they might have suspicions. But unfortunately, V3 Team Akiri is really just going to be going into no man's land, because the Radiant team is doing the exact same thing. So this is the time where they want to make the plays happen, but unfortunately they're both doing it at the exact same time in the exact opposite direction. So both of them just going to pass right on by each other, off kind of taking up the enemy team's map, and now they're going to be doing the exact same thing, looking to push on the tier 2. They're like, okay, we're up here anyways, nobody's stopping us. We're going to push down on the tier 2 on bottom Radiant, and these guys are going to push up on the tier 2 Dire up on top. So that's both of those are going to drop relatively quickly. It looks like Fortification is available for both teams, but unfortunately Radiant has already taken this. If they had 5 TP scrolls, they could actually just get a 1 for 0 on the towers, but right now they cannot. They have not all teleported in, and it looks like it's going to be V3 that are all falling back. They value this tier 3 a lot more so than they value obtaining a tier 2, so they want to make sure that they can defend their base, and that's obviously the really important thing. Defense of the Ancients. Ancients is a lot easier to defend when you have barracks alive to keep the creep wave in favorable momentum. But we'll see, we'll see. Alrighty. So, going on through, the team fight should be happening in a short time period. Sorry, Akiri looking to initiate to start things off. No, just getting a quick crippling fear off and instead getting tracked up himself. He has a Drum of Drum of Endurance, but here comes the BKB Queen of Pain, picking up that Windrunner like I was talking about. If she gets picked off, she drops down, but the mech keeps her alive for the time being, and a beautiful Ravage coming out of Tidehunter is actually enabling them to pick off the 2 supports. Shadow Demon and Lina drop down, then beautiful Shackle coming out of Queen of Pain. She has that blink 1 second, gets auto attack down, does not have the chance to finish it off. Now Juggernaut with his ultimate on cooldown, only rank 2. He is actually going to have to fall back TP out with Bounty Hunter all by himself. Oh, so sad. Bounty is going to drop in just a moment's time. Dots, 1 more auto attack or void. Nope, it's going to be a tower that actually gets up a triple kill for Akiri, and that's the defense they needed. That was the Ravage, and I was kind of talking about a little bit about the Blink Dagger not being as effective as it needed to be, but he timed it really, really well. PhD made up for those that first really poor Ravage, and that second one that wasn't so great, but this one here with that Blink Dagger jumped in with a Ravage that was at the timing where only 1 BKB was popped. Blade Fury was not active, and he got almost everybody. So Queen of Pain was actually completely overextended. They were able to bring down the supports really quickly with some early burst damage, courtesy a la Sven with that Mask of Madness. And so he is just a huge class cannon right now and was able to burn down so much so rapidly during that Ravage. So very, very effective, combining PhD's ultimate with the just raw manpower of this Sven. It's a good action from Nonsense there, and he picks up a number of kills, but it's actually going to be Akiri with that Night Stalker who popped his Darkness and was able to deliver a world of hurt during that time period. So that was awesome. And definitely what V3 needed if they wanted to stay in this game. It doesn't really seem to make much of a dent on the gold grab, but at the very least on the experience, they did get a lot back in their favor, almost getting 5,000 back, which is really, really important to try to stay. If they get completely level, huge level disadvantage, they're going to get knocked out. But right now, their top couple, the level 15s, aren't too far behind the level 16 and level 17s of the opposition, but they definitely need more out of their supports. Luckily, Tidehunter, as a result of that team fight and a little bit of creep farming, has hit level 11, and that's going to give him his rank 2 Ravage, which will make plays like that all the more relevant. So, going to be looking at Roshan pretty soon, but it's going to be difficult for Genesis to take it by themselves, based on the fact that there is an AoE disable and nuke of the Tidehunter's Ravage, accompanied by the rank 2 Macropyre, Ice Path, Dual Breath, that kind of thing. But now the Purge has been popped off on Sven in middle lane. He was looking for some action there, but instead pops his BKB, walks on away. Wow, what the hell was that crit? Desolator does a heck of a lot of damage with that last bounce, being able to crit up on the Jakiro and finishing him off. He looked like he was fine. He was like at half HP, and then the creep wave bounced back out of the away from the creep wave back onto him, and he got bursted down immediately. So finished the job there, and the Jakiro got picked off, and because there's no Jakiro, they cannot really well contest the Roshan. They want to, but whether they can is a completely different story. They pop off the dust, though. They might get a free bounty hunter for their troubles. His BKB is on cooldown. They are going to drop him down, Sven back on full HP. They're going to look to detest the Roshan that's already fallen. Agency Immortal picked up by Juggernaut. Are they going to be able to clean anybody up out of this? No. They weren't. Oh, wow. Queen of Pain, actually with some vision on the high ground, is trying to pick out the Windrunner. Pops off his BKB, pops off the Sonic Wave on only Akiri. Does not hit Windrunner, and although Daytime has pops so that Night Stalker cannot pursue, she's just going to blink out and TP away. Scott's strength was wasted there. Nonsense was not able to pop that off, but at least the Windrunner survived. Using that mech and the Sonic Wave missing means that Queen of Pain was not able to burn them down. Now, I presume Queen of Pain is going to be looking for an Aghanim Scepter in a moment's time, so that those ultimates will be that much more prevalent. Right now, has the BKB and Scythe, which, I mean, she's amazingly farmed. Just looking at that GPM, 500 for Juggernaut. Actually, rather impressed with that. He does have that Desolator now. But the net worth, yeah, Jug has quite a bit. I'm actually kind of astonished how he got that, but that's the power of the Battle Fury. He is really, really good at critting up creep waves. Another quick double DC from that combo there. But anyways, Juggernaut has the potential to crit up a creep wave and just completely one-shot a full wave of creeps with that cleave. Along with that, he's been just completely dominating and controlling his jungle very, very effectively. And Night Stalker really hasn't been taking the fight to them. He hasn't been able to. Even during the nighttime, he's been playing rather defensively, and now the fact of the matter is he doesn't have the momentum to ward up and push in aggressively in their jungle. And with that, Juggernaut has now farmed up his level 18, so that's like 12 friggin' Omni Slash bounces. Along with that, the Desolator damage reduces every single slash and every single auto attack, reduces a target's armor by 6. Doesn't stack, but it makes sure it has that -6 armor, which will give him quite a bit of damage amplification to that physical extent. Of course, the Battle Fury gives plenty of damage of its own, 65, and with that, the Aghanim Scepter also gives plus 10 agility. So he's doing a lot of damage. He has enough attack speed to be able to do at least one auto attack between a slash, and with that, he was able to get some nice crits off and burn some people down. So very, very effective. He's been farming up like a boss, and although he's not the latest game of carries, especially when you compare him to Sven, he has a couple really good core heroes to back him up. Bounty Hunter sitting at Midas, Drum, BKB. It looks like he might be looking for a sheepstick of his own, which would be very interesting indeed. But the Queen of Pain has quite a bit of right-click damage herself, looking at, well, it just went up and down for some reason, not sure why. Why would it... It's like fluctuating, I'm not exactly sure what the deal with that is. I think she's tread swapping and I'm not paying attention to it. But anyways, she has a good amount of, like 160 auto attack damage because she has that intellect from the Scythe of Ice, as well as a little bit of bonus damage from that BKB. One thing to keep in mind though, Chingu has been using his BKB so aggressively, Black King Bar on 5-second duration. Although it only has a minute cooldown now, it's still really, really low duration, and it will not keep her alive throughout the fight if the Crippling Fear or the Ravage is able to lock her down as soon as it expires. Actually, all of these heroes have really good disables that are blocked by magic immunity, so if they can get a couple of those, it'll be a really big deal. In the meantime, they're just kind of, what they're doing that I really like coming out of Genesis here is they're controlling the farm routes. They're making sure, I would really prefer them to put an observer ward up on this plateau to have full coverage of vision, but at the very least they are having their presence known in the enemy's jungle. So they're farming up on all these neutral camps here, whereas what do the Team V3 have to do? Nonsense. Would love to be farming up creeps, but he's sitting at 164 last hits, guarding his tier 3 because he's constantly being pushed in, and the only time that he gets really any kind of farm is when they push it all the way to him. So he will get some creeps here, but all the same, it's kind of limited. and he's not going to get that Day Dallas anytime soon for that reason. So he's probably just going to be saving for buyback at this stage in the game, and it's 38 minutes in. He's sitting at level 16. Those death timers are rather substantial. Juggernaut does get picked off a little bit, and if they had any idea about the positioning of the supports here, then they actually could have probably tried to bring down Juggernaut, but it is a very risky thing because he has a lot of durability and he's immortal. And now look at that damage coming out of that Omni Slash. Tried to pick off 2, was only able to bring down the Tidehunter, but that in of itself is amazing. Tidehunter with no buyback available, they can push down with 6v4 effectively with that Aegis. Now Kiri pops off Silence, tried to do some damage to Lina. BKB popped off by Queen of Pain. It's very short duration though. Sven wants to get some big auto attacks and nice Ice Pack come out. Jing can be critted up right here, but he actually didn't get auto attack until about 2 seconds after. Now Juggernaut back in the fray, still has his full arsenal of spells other than the Omni Slash, but he's just not able to do nearly as much compared to the Queen of Pain, who with that Sonic Wave as well as some Scream action and Slice of Ice just been delivering so much hurt. Shingu on the back end just going as aggressive, balls deep as he needs to, and even without the BKB he's fearless and is able to drop down so many heroes because of it. Really nice play from Chingu there, just jumping in and out of the battlefield, and I expect a little bit more from Juggernaut, but they didn't need it. Queen of Pain so mobile, so active, and really just knew the positioning of it. As soon as they popped an ability that he didn't have to worry about dodging, he immediately went aggressive. The Silence was popped off on Lina, jumps into the fray, goes aggressive. That is long duration cooldown, 12 seconds is enough for him to get a couple screams off throughout that time period, and with the Windrunner on low life, he just kind of took them one at a time and really had good focus throughout that team fight and won them it for sure. And the fact of the matter is that Omni Slash pick up on the Tidehunter made sure they didn't have that Blink Ravage available, which means that's the 2 sets of racks taken down now, and that's 2 racks that will nearly give Team Genesis the win. One more set of racks and that will be the nail in the coffin, but we'll have to see. In the meantime, Dusk gets popped up on Bounty Hunter. He will BKB on out of that, but will he get out? He has 10 seconds left on Shadow Walk. Right now just trying to get some movement speed out of tracks, but not actually popping enough. Just tried to, got fogged out. Not a big deal. Omni Slash going on through again. Wow, that cooldown is rather short. Gets 2 kills out of it. Sven taken down as well as the Jakiro. Surprised he didn't pop off the Warcry to get 16 armor, but here comes a little bit of retaliation for PhD. Gets a nice Ravage off, but there's really no follow-up. Now he's sheeped up, and he is dropped down so low. Big crits coming out of Juggernaut. That's so much damage. Just look at between Bounty Hunter's Janata and Juggernaut, the negative armor stack from the rank 3 track, -3, and the -6 from the Desolator. That's 9, obviously 9 armor reduction. Addition is hard, but anyways, the fact of the matter is he's doing a heck of a lot of physical damage, and with that reliable chance to crit, 35% chance to do double damage, is doing a heck of a lot of damage, and he was very effective in utilizing his Assault Cuirass. Oh, and I forgot to mention the Assault Cuirass, so that's, yeah, -11 armor. A large amount of physical damage. You can see the net worth. I mean, they did what they needed to. They got the gold, they got the tracks. Genesis kept up the momentum, and they won the game. A couple of poor Ravages from PhD definitely set them up for success. Genesis could keep that momentum rolling, but in general, they played it extremely well. They had their lanes very, very effective. They got some early kills with that Juggernaut, pulling the winner in our position, etc. And that worked out very, very well for them. So well played to Team Genesis. They'll be moving on to the next round. Not sure, actually, I can check for you guys right now who that's going to be up against, as we have an interesting bracket with a couple people out of the picture. But looks like Genesis is going to be going up against TD, which is Oathkeeper's team, formerly known as Smiley Face, but they have lost a member or two, so we'll have to see how they fare up against them, but it'll be interesting as we move forward. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll put on some music and we'll get on to the next game.